Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the British Typhoon Mk Ia sitting at 2.7 battle rating in realistic battle. It's a decent plane, but it is quite limited and it is also quite unforgiving while you fly it. It doesn't forgive your mistakes very well as the plane is quite one-dimensional. But if you take that into account and you fly the plane to its strengths, the plane actually is quite nice to fly. The maximum speed in the Typhoon at sea level without WEP is 529 kilometers an hour, and with WEP 539. At 4500 meters still go up to 467 kilometers an hour without WEP, and 472 with WEP. And finally at 6500 meters still go up to 434 kilometers an hour without WEP, and 443 with WEP. That is not bad at all. The plane is decently fast at this battle rating. There are some planes, of course, especially in the up tiers, that will outspeed you, but overall at its own battle rating and at down tiers the plane has nice speed on her. That is also true in a dive. The top speed in a dive in this plane is 803 kilometers an hour before it redlines, and 870 before it rips apart. Now, is that the effective dive speed? This plane is quite sluggish. I mean, we have to name it for what it is. It is extremely sluggish when below 300 kilometers an hour. And the control stiffening starts to come in at 450. Now at 450 this is still manageable, but at around 600 kilometers an hour the plane, especially the roll rate, starts to be extremely bad. And you know, at 700 it just also the elevator starts to lock up. It's difficult to get out of a dive from there. But the roll rate especially, and getting the guns on target, is difficult above 600 kilometers an hour already. So that is basically the effective dive speed for boom and zooming. The ideal window for this plane is between 300 and 500 kilometers an hour for maneuverability. Now here in this situation we already got a few bombers, one bomber and a fighter. We basically caught up with this Heinkel 111 and I want to approach him from the front. So I'm trying to extend a little bit more here and actually you know, do it as you are supposed to attack bombers. With speed from the front, or you know, from above or from below, depending on where the turrets are. Now the Heinkel has one very weak turret coming from the front, and thus I'd like to approach it if possible from the front. Preferably. Now here we go, easy. We put the right engine, or his left engine, on fire. We kill him. Now immediately we are attacked by this Doe 217, which was already coming for quite a bit. We just had enough space to avoid him after we shot the Heinkel down. As you shoot the Heinkel from the front, you also have good chances to shoot the pilots out of their misery, let's say, because of the glass cage that they are in. This is not too difficult. Now after getting the Doe here as well, we get 4 kills in this match, and that's a good match in the Typhoon, let's say. It is, at least in my experience, especially not in up tiers or at its battle rating, it's not a plane where you rack up matches with 4, 5, 6 kills easily, especially because of the widely placed guns, let's say. But yeah, so it's decent in a dive to about 600, 650 kilometers an hour. The stall speed in the plane is not too good with 170 kilometers an hour. The firepower in the plane is good. The plane runs with 12 7.7 Browning machine guns and excellent firepower. The ammo load is also good, with 8 of the guns having 500 rounds and 4 of the guns 460 rounds. I used a 600 meter convergence and I used universal belt for it. It is especially important in this plane to use the convergence that you like a lot, because the guns are placed so far to the side of the wing, so that is extra important there. The plane can also be equipped with 2 250 pound bombs and 2 500-pound bombs. Great ammo load with good firepower. Acceleration in a plane, in the plane in a straight line is decent, and in a dive it's good. The energy retention in the horizontal is very good, and it is decent in the vertical. It's quite a heavy plane, and you know, it's not the best in the vertical. So you got to be careful there. The stall speed also isn't fantastic. The climb rate in the plane is good though, so that does support stall fighting if necessary sometimes, but I would prefer to boom and zoom straight up and leave the stall fighting out a little bit. Although you can use it of course, but you got to be very well calculated in where your opponent is, your energy situation and his, and your you got to be really ahead on the energy level, let's say. The turn time in the plane is bad. Flaps don't really matter for that. The flaps do rip off at 450 kilometers an hour, which is already quite fast, and in some cases you can rip off the flaps in a straight line if you're too fast. The roll rate is terrible in the plane. That is really absolutely nothing to write home about, and the overall maneuverability with the bad turn time and the terrible roll rate is very bad. So you don't want to go into a turn fight in this plane. You gotta keep it fast, and that's the trick in this plane. Overheating is present but manageable, and the durability is good. It can soak up a lot of damage. So like I said, not maneuverable at all. The roll rate isn't fantastic to begin with, and the plane basically is a boom and zoom plane that is absolutely unforgiving to any mistakes you make. If you don't keep it fast, if you don't keep the energy situation in your advantage, this plane is a coffin pretty quickly if you get jumped by fighters that have a better energy position than you. Most of the fighters you will meet are better at maneuvering than you, and it's probably mostly only attackers and bombers that you can outmaneuver. For the rest, it is really a plane that has to be used in the disciplined boom and zoom role. Extremely sluggish when slow as well, like I said, so there is a small window in where this plane is at its best maneuverability, which is not very good to begin with. So there is that. Now the usual matches you get are these kind of matches, you know, 2 kills, a ground kill. The plane does net very steady results, and that is also steady income if you use it well and don't make mistakes. Now this last match was pretty funny against this duo of the JG 302 squadron. They were a little bit cocky, those two, so I wanted to show you. I mean, this was an up tier match where my team was completely destroyed, and I'm in a 2.7 plane facing several C205 Series 3s. Now we reviewed the Series 3 not too long ago, and it is an absolute beast of a plane at 3.7 battle rating, even capable of easily performing in the up tiers. So for these guys to be cocky against the Django flying in a Typhoon Mk Ia, I found it a little bit out of place. But anyway, we are focusing on these guys here. This one flew off to the side and climbed while her, or his, I don't know, this is Hermina Graf, that's a woman's name. I don't know if it's actually a woman behind the controls. That there is Günther Rahl, which is a famous German pilot from the Second World War, one of their highest scoring aces. The guy flew 109s, I believe, and 190s, but mainly 109s. I saw his interviews and I was thoroughly impressed with the guy. True gentleman of the sky, despite being a German pilot and potentially being on the wrong side of the war, you know, as they say it. But in the air there was often a lot of honor still involved, and the pilots, both of the German and the British side, were quite honorable towards each other, let's say. Now we managed to get away there in that situation against those planes, with those 2 planes coming on from the side as well, being confronted with 4 planes. I had to dive away, get some space between me and them, and see if I could lure 1 or 2 of them after me so I could fight them alone. This guy actually came for me, and I fight him. There are 2 other people quite close, and I have a slight thingy in the flight model after I got hit by that guy. So it's not visible on the damage, but the plane feels a little bit less good than it would usually be right here. As they are rounding up my last buddy there, the B-34, unfortunately. And of course I'm the only guy left now. Come on. Now another guy actually crashed somewhere along the way. As I get this guy now, I only have 8 minutes of fuel left, and I have this slight tweak in my flight model from being hit by that guy. I decided to land, and of course here we've got the taunting. That keep an eye on the chat, it's pretty funny. They want me to land and J out to prevent any disappointing consequences. I found it actually quite funny, but I had to play with them a little bit. Of course I was very close to my own airfield. I already landed and repaired, but I think in the meantime they had to go back to their own airfield, and I would, if I climbed a little bit to the extreme of this that this plane can do, I would probably end up above them. So I'm taunting them back a little bit because of course I never will give up. The tickets are very low right now, so I'm hoping I can actually meet them before the timer runs out. And here we go. He already concludes that they are going to win. But I didn't hear from them after that for a good almost minute and a half. Getting close to the airfield here as I finally pick up the first guy there. I am a good bit above him, probably a kilometer and a half, maybe 2 kilometers above him. I don't see the other dot yet, but from this position I have a chance against these guys. The climb rate of this plane is quite good, so you can regain your altitude decently, although the energy retention in the vertical isn't that good. So a shallow climb will get you there after a boom attack. Boom and run, or boom and zoom with shallow climbing angles after that. Keep your speed up in this plane and you'll be alright. But up tiers can be brutal. The 3.7 battle rating is really brutal. Let's see what we got. You especially, you face F4s, F4 drops. You face the early 109s. We've got, let's see what we got. Final Blow, Terror of the Sky, Bulletproof, 36,000 Silver Lions and 2,200 research points. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now, like I said, unfortunately we couldn't fight them from that position. It would have been interesting to see if I could get those two guys. They were good pilots, so without a doubt. They had nice stats. I mean, some of their stats were better than some of my planes, but in some planes I was better than them. So they were good pilots. I have no gripes with that. But taunting a pilot in a Typhoon Mk I while you're flying the C205 Series 3, yeah. But anyway, this plane faces rough up tiers to the plane that I just talked about. If you face Italians, Germans often fly the F4, one of the player base's favorite 109s, and also one of the 109s that is best at its battle rating compared with quality. The F4 drop, you face the Focke-Wulf 190A1, which is a good plane. There is, and you have some zeros that you can face, of course, which is also quite terrible if they jump you. So this plane has very tough opposition in up tiers, and there especially this plane is completely unforgiving. One mistake and you're dead, and you can only dive away basically, which is one of the strengths of this plane. A good top speed in a dive, which can often save you, but don't get yourself lured into maneuvering fights, dogfighting, because you are absolutely gonna die in that case. You gotta keep it fast, you gotta stick to your role, which is boom and zooming, and be wise in your decision making and your positioning, and then you can make this plane work, and otherwise it can be quite the unforgiving bitch. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.